video for YouTube, and I just now thought about it. And basically, what I'm gonna go over is managing your expectations versus reality in a fighting game. And now, what I want to do is just kind of waffle about talking about, you know, how you should go about approaching a fighting game for the first time, or maybe like if you want to go get to the next level. This is a little bit to talk about how we how you can get better as a player, or just figure out where you're at. And so the thing about fighting games is it's a lot harder than people give it credit for. You know, to the naked eye, if you've never played a fighting game or even any video game, high level play and two beginners mashing it out, there's gonna be, just a little bit, like it's imperceptible to tell what's going on. Other than like maybe the higher level players, there's a little bit more going on in terms of like the combos and stuff. But you gotta be able to manage expectations. And by when I say by managing expectations is you got to realize what do you want to get out of it. Like if you want to be, just be able to beat your friends in the game. And so the reason why I have an iceberg picture pulled up because if you want to just play with your friends just casually, invite some friends over, play, drink some beers or whatever, get some pizza or all that, where you guys are all kind of just beginners. You kind of are up here. And that's fine. It's like playing like that. I mean, you want fighting games are all about you get in what you put in. So if you guys just want to keep it like that, fine, perfect. So really, it all comes down to both managing your expectations and just having fun. So when the thing is people conflate like when people want to play a video game, the first thing that comes to mind is, am I having fun? And then the second part is, if I'm having fun, am I winning or am I losing? Now, fighting games get a really bad rap of just being extremely hard. And they're actually, at the rap, it's right. And when people say fighting games are a button masher, they're right. But here's the thing. Like, when people say this all is a button masher, it's a spammy, game, they're not really taking in consideration the levels of it, and that's why I have the iceberg. So if you have like just a fundamental just understanding of video games, you're probably about here, right? And so that's fine. Like I mean, the thing is that when you have a good expectation of what you want out of the game, it's perfect. But here's where people get off track is like they'll go play the tutorial, they'll play arcade mode, and they hop online and they just get wrecked, and you're like, man, this is a bad game, this is a bad game, this and that and the third. They're okay to think that. I mean, and it's tough because every other genre of game gives you a clear path to do well, because like you think playing the computer and then going on and playing other real people, there's gonna be like a little bit of a disconnect. So having fun versus winning. Now, this is the tricky part because like if you could beat your friends and stuff, like they don't really take the game seriously, you don't take the game seriously. Now winning, it's gonna be 50-50. It just comes down to who's gonna be the better at button mashing. And honestly, at that level, it's really at a point where it's like, who really cares? But if you really care more about the just beating your friends, or you want to actually start winning some games online, there is a little bit of a work requirement. So I'm gonna put that next. And basically, you understand that you don't like losing online, but but you feel that, yeah, hey, look, these guys that are online, I might lose to them a couple times. I might get close to winning. How do I go from, almost losing to a little bit winning? Now, each of the modern games. So if you plug in your anything from PS3 later, so PS3, Xbox 360, Wii U, PS4, Xbox One, PS5, all that stuff, they all have tutorial systems that teach you the basics of the game. And where fighting games get hard is because from the basics all the way down to the highest level gameplay. I mean, not highest level gameplay, but the highest level tutorial. You have to apply that all in real time. So that's where it starts to get a little bit difficult. And then people also, another big issue is like, you want to do cool stuff. You bought the game, you want to do cool stuff, but like getting to the point to where it's like you're able to execute your moves and see cool flashy stuff on screen, then you're gonna get to a point where it's like, this stuff is hard. And now I think a little bit of this kind of gets lost in translation a bit, because like a lot of times, like, you know people see an input list, and I'll bring one up. Let's see, KOF input, KOF 13. So I'm gonna pull up this right here, and people see things like this right here, and these right here. We're like, oh my gosh, this is so tough. But the way modern fighting kind of work, they give a little bit input leniency to where it's like there's systems in the game that'll actually help you do these. And a lot of times when people see this, they immediately clam up. They're like, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this. When really, honestly, if you just take it slow and go over it, then you'll be fine. But then that goes back to the managing expectations and having fun. Like, a lot of people see a list like this, and they're like, man, this is not fun. Like, I gotta study just to play the game correctly. And that's totally fine. It's a totally fair assessment, honestly. And the one thing that there's a lot of fighting games that do away with this, like Rising Thunder, Brawlhalla, you got Fantasy Strike. There's a lot of games that do away with this type of stuff, but then like at the top end, there's not much to do because they don't have stuff like this. So it's like it's kind of a give or take. Like even Smash Brothers, like there was a big controversy when they added Street Fighter and King of Fighters characters, even Kazuya from Tekken, that their moves are too complicated or too hard to do. And I could kind of understand for that point, because all of Smash's inputs are like one direction, one button. So I definitely can side with them on that. But when it comes to inputs and stuff, I can side, like, for me personally, I play in tournaments. I used to play in tournaments anyway. And like for me personally, if they just did away with all the inputs in all the fighting games, I'd have a problem. It's because like for a player like me, I like doing the hard stuff in the game, and it kind of lets me express myself the way I want to. And like those games that simplify those down, I feel like I have a harder time expressing my combos or expressing what I want to do. And like that's where the disconnect lies. Is there's a subset of people that believe that all these games should be easy, all these games should do this and this and this and that and third, and they're okay to believe that. And then there's another subset of players that like want to explore the depth of the system. And like the thing is I'll bring up the iceberg again. Oops. I'll bring up the iceberg again. Is that players up here are expecting to be down here, and that's where managing your expectations is. You gotta Each game has its own difficulty curve, and that's before you even get to the player versus player aspect of it. So even if you have the mechanics down, the combos down, and all that stuff, you still have to do it all in real time against a living, breathing opponent. So instead of one of these icebergs, there's a bigger one that goes further down. And like the further down you go, the harder it is, to pull all this all together. Because like even the pros sometimes mess up the basics. Sometimes you'll see, like, for instance, like, somebody jumps at you, the immediate response is, hey, this guy's jumping at me. He's taking space. I need to knock him out of the air before he starts hitting me. Well, a lot of times, pro players, they're looking for so many other things at once, they miss the anti-air. And, like, that comes, it comes with practice, but also at the same time, it's like, you know, it all comes down to practice. And, like, here's another thing. Like, when you practice, a lot of people really don't like that. Of like that they have to sit there, work at a game, just to even get to where they could at least it'll function. And it all comes down to what game you want to play. There's, not everybody, fighting games aren't for everybody. And that's the one thing that, you know, it sucks because I want fighting games to be more inclusive, but at the same time, when you make it the systems more, encompassing, you lose a lot of the stuff that makes fighting games. Like that's just my personal take on it. Like like I said, like a game like Fantasy Strike, you press one button, one direction, you get the move. Well, when you're at the basic level, when you are up here at the iceberg right here, it's fine because like you get to do cool stuff, you get to see cool stuff on screen, and it's like everybody's having fun. But when you start to get down here, one button, one direction, it starts to get stale because there's not much else to do outside of that. You just kind of, you know, you basically get stuck. And so, because everybody at that level knows everything and they've explored everything and they kind of like got everything down to a science. Whereas a player up here, they're like, oh man, one button, one direction, cool, and that's fine. That's totally fine. I'm not ragging on anybody. I'm not dissing on anybody. But that's just my personal take on it. So life is like just like anything in life. You get in what you put in, and I don't want to make this sound like I'm dissuading anybody from fighting games. The juice is definitely worth the squeeze, but the problem with a lot of people have with the genre is having the squeeze to get the juice. And like I definitely get it. I definitely get it because I'm starting to work. I'm putting in 8 hour work weeks. I come home. I don't want to like sweat and play fighting games. I'm already tired. I work a manual labor job, so it's like it's rough. Like because like I play on my hitbox for my fighting stick, I get sweaty because like when you think hard and you're moving, your your heart rate goes up, your pupils dilate, your temperature goes up. It is stressful sometimes, and I understand that. I 100% understand why somebody would not like that, and I totally get it. Cause like here recently, I haven't really been playing as much, but I want to get back. I'm doing everything I can to like divvy up my time perfectly so I can do this stuff. And really, like what I want to really emphasize is like now when it comes to practice, if you feel like you're up here and want to go down but you don't have the time, there's now we're getting to a point where we're actually going to really talk about more advanced stuff, and I kind of want to break it off here. I want to be able to just kind of set this as a primer. um, Basically put, I just want to get more people in the fighting games, but I also want people to understand what they're getting into, because just like I said, anything in life, like I can't go to the gym and expect to bench press 300 pounds. I have to work up from being able to push the barbell off my chest, maybe add a little bit more weight on each side, and eventually through diligence and effort, I can get to that 300 pounds. Me personally, I don't think I will actually would be able to bench that. Even at my best, I was like 205, which is still a lot of weight for somebody my size, but that's the point. So it all comes back down to managing your expectations. What do you want to get out of fighting games? Do you want to beat your friends? Do you want to go to tournaments? Do you want to win a match online? Do you want to become the champion of Evo? Do you want to get to the point to where you're streaming every day and you just make money from streaming and playing? Or I mean, you just like fighting games, just like fighting games, like me. Like I want to turn this into something I could just, add a revenue stream where I could just stream and play fighting games, maybe enter a tournament or two, supplement my income. That's my main goal. It was fighting games really now because it's kind of changed. Like when I was younger, I definitely wanted to win. I wanted to go to tournaments. I wanted to be the best, but my training regimen wasn't there. I had personal issues that didn't let me travel as much as I wanted to. But that's another story for another day. Lastly, I want to leave off that fighting games are the most beautiful genre of video games because honestly, it teaches you how to be personally accountable for your own actions. If you aren't putting in the work to protect your character, the game will talk mess to you in the worst way possible. And even sometimes, like in Mortal Kombat, your opponent gets to do gets to eviscerate you because you lost. So I want to get to the point where more people are taking the dive, more people are wanting to play because fighting games are so beautiful, man. But this is